we remember your speech when you introduced yourself last year. You said, "I'm Ricky Ponting. I'm 46 years old. I live with my wife and 3 kids in Melbourne, and that's about me, right?" You don't talk about what you have achieved as a cricketer. Like, where does this stem from?
Well, that doesn't matter anymore. Those days are long gone. I'm a father and a husband and a coach now. And to be honest, some of the young guys that I'm talking to probably have got no idea what I did anyway. I'm probably a bit old for any of the younger guys to realise I even played the game. So to them, I'm probably this old man that tells them what to do at training and nothing else.
Wow, this has been in the works for a while now, but finally I have the opportunity and the honor to have you on the Delhi Capitals podcast. This is our second season. Last year we tried to show our fans the unseen side of our players. Their personal stories, their struggles, how they came up about playing in the IPL. This year we want to continue that tradition, but also want to show more of what happens behind the scenes. So with you, again, like one chat is never going to be enough. You've been kind to us to talk to us quite often, and we love listening to you. You know that. So today, just want to kind of relive what we have been through since 2018 and see how that journey has been for you. I just want to start with my first year with you. I was so hesitant, afraid. I don't know what's that word, or I'm still in awe of you, but that year was a bit different. Like first year, I didn't know what to expect. He's a legend, right? I wanted to take a picture with you. I didn't. I told one of my friends, "I'm going to get this book signed. Please take a picture from the side." I still have it. Your question was, you haven't peeled off the sticker yet, like the plastic out of the book. I said, "I will peel it off only when you sign it. I'll read your book." So that's my early memory of 2018. How's it been for you, Coach?
No, look, it's been amazing. It's been a lot of fun. I think I say to you guys every year when I arrive that this is the best 2 or 3 months of my calendar year. That's how much I look forward to it. My life is separated into a couple of parts with my commentary work in the Australian summer, and then a bit of family time, and also the time I have here with the Delhi Capitals. But to be honest, it's a great time of year for me. Probably this year even more so with a new squad, a lot of different faces around, whether it's playing staff or even our support staff and admin staff around the Capitals this year. It's certainly different than it has been the last few years, but no, the journey's been great. I mean, the last 3 years have been exceptional, really. I think we're the only team in the last 3 years actually qualified every year, which is from where we were the year before. I think we finished last my first year as coach, so I only had one way to go, and that was to go up. And it's important that we continue to try and grow that way. I'm never satisfied with anything unless we're winning all the time or we're improving all the time, and that's the way that I certainly try and coach the younger players around the group and even the more senior players around the group. And I think the great thing about, from what I've seen with everyone involved with Delhi Capitals, is that they're not happy either. They're not satisfied with just turning up and doing the same thing day after day. Everyone's looking for ways to get better. So as long as you have that approach and that attitude, I think then you'll always have fun. And certainly for me, reaching a final, finishing on top of the table last year and unfortunately bowing out the way that we did, I still feel that there's a lot of unfinished business for me and some of the players around the franchise, and hopefully this year's the year.
Coach, another important aspect when you spoke about 2018, right? When we look at that season on paper, it looks like a terrible season. Finishing 8th is never going to be great, right? But if you divide that season into 2 parts, if you look at the last few games, there were plenty of positives to carry. We beat Mumbai, we beat Chennai. We were on the upward surge. So do you think 2018 is the foundation year on which we have built our team and achieved all the success which we have?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, one thing about the IPL, you've only got to be 5% off in any game that you play, and you're going to lose, and that's what it felt like that first year. We were close in a lot of games. We lost a few close games, but as you say, at the back end of that season, we started playing our best cricket, but unfortunately, it was too late. And I think, as it turned out, we might have only missed qualification by one game, and then you finish 8th. So that's how close it is.
Coach, I remember one conversation I had with you back in 2018 and or early 2019, if I could remember correctly. And you put a lot of emphasis on, the Indian boys are gelling well. When the foreign players come in, that's the challenge where we bring them together and make one family. And from what we have seen from our eyes, it feels like it's been a team which has been difficult to break. So you feel, at least in that terms, you have achieved what you had set out to be?
Yes and no, because it changes every year as well, right? Like even this year, as you know, we made some pretty bold calls with our retentions for this year. We wanted to make sure we had some older, experienced players there, but wanted to make sure we had some younger guys, obviously with Prithvi as a retained player as well, knowing how good a player he can be in years going forward for the Delhi Capitals. So, and then we go back into the auction and we want to bring guys like Shikhar back. You want Rabada back, you want Hetmeyer back, you want Arvish back, but unfortunately things didn't work out for us that way. So you end up, almost with a blank canvas and I think we only had 4 players from last year playing our first team this year. I think we presented 7 caps in our first game, which is pretty unheard of. But so you've always got to start again. You can't just rely on what happened last year. You've got to find ways to be better, and even for now to bring the group back together again and start all over again. So even we played our first game with only 2 overseas players and no one else to pick from. That's. If they, as I say, if they want the team to be as good as it can be, as soon as it can be, then it's their responsibility. One thing I said right at the start, I think the first chat I had when I got here was, with the new squad that we had, let's keep our doors open, bedroom doors open. Let's mix as much as we can. And you see that even after training last night, 8 or 10 of the guys got together when we got back and had dinner together. Then we sat down and watched the game together. They're the things that will make it happen and make the magic happen sooner rather than later. And I think that the earlier that we can get that dynamic as strong as it can, will hold us in good stead for the remainder of the tournament.
The vibe already feels great. I mean, we have also got along really well with all the young guys and not too many older ones around, right?
Yeah, not yet. They're coming.
Okay. So, Coach, family is one word you talk a lot about, and you mean it. You just don't throw it away for the sake of it, right? And we remember your speech. When you introduced yourself last year, you said, "I'm Ricky Ponting. I'm 46 years old. I live with my wife and 3 kids in Melbourne, and that's about me," right? You don't talk about what you have achieved as a cricketer. Like, where does this stem from?
Well, that doesn't matter anymore. Those days are long gone. I'm a father and a husband and a coach now. And to be honest, some of the young guys that I'm talking to probably have got no idea what I did anyway. I'm probably a bit old for any of the younger guys to realise I even played the game. So to them, I'm probably this old man that tells them what to do at training and nothing else. Look, the things that happened in the game to me, they're great memories, and obviously I'm proud of what I did as a player. But no, those days are long gone. It's the knowledge that I accrued from being a player and being a captain, the amount of winning teams I was involved in, the environments that I was involved in, that's the stuff that I take with me from my playing days. Not how many runs I scored or how many hundreds I got. It's about how I can teach others now and hopefully make others better. And if they do know anything about my playing career, then hopefully I can try and inspire them to be the best that they can and maybe chase some of the things that I did in the game. I've spoken to Prithvi about it. Like if I look at Prithvi play, he's got every bit as much talent as I had, if not more. And I want to be able to turn him into a player that plays over 100 Test matches for India and represents his country as much as possible. That's and if I look back, that's one of the most enjoyable things about coaching. I think if I look back through the teams that I've been around. If I look back at the Mumbai Indians team when I took over that team, Rohit was very young, Hardik Pandya hadn't played, Krunal hadn't played. A lot of the guys that I've coached there have gone on and played a lot of cricket for India, and that's what I want to be able to do here. It's about the Delhi Capitals, and winning titles here, but also if I can have some sort of impact on the way that these guys play their cricket with us, and then when they leave, if they can go on and be better international players as a result of being here in this environment, then that's what coaching is all about for me. So, as I said, the playing days are 8-9 years behind me now, and I can sit back and be proud of what I achieved, but that doesn't help me and doesn't help any of the players. It's it's just a constant battle for me and the rest of the coaches to try and find ways to improve the skill of the players that we've got here. And I think because of how much I played and the players that I played against, the knowledge that I have to be able to teach, I think is one thing that I really enjoy.
And you also set a great group together, right? With someone like Shane Watson coming in, Ajit Agarkar coming in, Praveen sir's been around for a while, so that also helps the squad learn different things from different people, right?
Yeah, and I think the important thing there, and you've probably spent a little bit of time with Shane already. You know James really well from the years that he's been here, and Ajit, I'm sure you've if you didn't know before you entered camp here, what you'll know and find out about those people is they're all very, very good people, and that's what that's what families, if you like, and franchises and teams are based on. It's based on good people. I think we've got a great group now. I think even I knew the skill set that Shane had coming here with his, obviously his knowledge of the game, but also a lot of the work he's been doing on the mental side of things, and what he's been able to do for the group already has been fantastic. Hopesy, over the last 3 years in particular, is probably, I think, as far as bowling coaches are concerned, I think he's probably had the best results of any bowling coach in the tournament. You talk to all the players that have worked with him, and they've loved working with him, and some say that he's the best bowling coach they've worked with. So we know we've got the right people there, and we've got the right teachers, and if the players are willing to accept and and try and work on the things that we talk about, then we think we can make them better.
Fabulous. Coach, I've been talking to a lot of the guys lately with respect to this podcast itself, just trying to dig in some more information. Without taking names, there are a few things which people talk about, how you have helped them correct their techniques, how you have helped them open their arms, how they are playing better cricket now since being at this team for a few years. So that's been one real aspect which would make you smile, right?
Absolutely. That's my job anyway. But if they are saying that they think that I or Shane or James or whoever the coaches are making them better, then, I'm not going to get carried away with that, because that's what I expected myself. I expected I can make them better every day, and I say that. If I need to be able to go to bed at night thinking about how I'm going to make Bharat better tomorrow. What am I going to say to Rishabh to make him a better player tomorrow? What do I do to make Prithvi better? So they're the things that I'm constantly thinking about, and and a lot of the time it's really little things as well. And if you can just identify and spot little things with certain players and then implement that into their training the next day, and if it starts to work, then they believe everything you say from there, because they can see the results happening and the change happening straight away. And Bharat probably right now is a really good example. We've done some things with him the last 3 or 4 days at training, and he said he's never trained like that ever in his life, and he's never hit the ball like that ever in his life before. And so we're unlocking little handbrakes on certain players that might be holding them back. Even with Kuldeep last week, for him not to play any cricket and be, at KKR for a couple of years and not play, and, understandably they've got some very good spinners there, but one of the reasons that I identified him for the auction was for that reason. I thought if we could bring him into our environment here and, really give him a lot of confidence leading into game one, then I thought he could be maybe one of the finds of the tournament. And he started off bowling beautifully. Long way to go yet, obviously, and one game's not... one game is not a tournament by any means, but if you just see him, I think he's sort of growing in this environment as well, and that's what it's all about. So that's the great part of coaching.
Beautiful, coach. It's been like the chat we are having with Kuldeep. His confidence is skyrocketed. I mean, he feels good as a person, more confident, and was a bit emotional as well. Because any player who goes through a tough time sees the result or feels more accepted in an environment. I mean, player couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, well, it's probably been the thing with him. It's been 3 or 4 years where he's hardly played any cricket at all. He's been on the outer with the Indian team, and he's with Chakravarti and Narayan, and even Shakib's sort of taking over the spinning roles at KKR last year. It was obviously hard for him to get a game, but I've watched him for a number of years, and I've actually talked about him for a number of years leading into other auctions as well. And it wasn't until this year that we were able to get our hands on him, but we've got him now, and that's great to hear that he feels confident here, because that's our job. And our job is to make sure that we're keeping confident right the way through, because with spinners in T20 cricket, they're going to have their ups and downs like most players will, and regardless if he has a good game or if he has a bad game, then he'll be treated the same by us, and he'll be treated the same by his teammates, and that's what this family sort of environment's all about. It doesn't matter what the results are. We treat each other exactly the same on a daily basis, and we try and find ways as a group to help each other out when things aren't going well.
Amazing. So that takes me to the next segment I wanted to talk to you about, and that's what happens off the field, right? You're a person who is more like a friend to everyone, even to us. I speak to a lot of our practice bowlers, net bowlers as they call them. They have been part of many teams, whether it's domestic, whether it's IPL. The thing which stands out over here is everyone is equal. It's not in terms of words, it in terms of action. They feel it, they feel part of this family, and they understand that a lot of care has been taken into it to make it happen. So what's your perspective on that?
Well, it's actually one thing I haven't done this year yet, and I'm just waiting for the right moment to do it. We're only one game into the tournament, and already and I don't even like to refer to them as net bowlers. They're more than that to me. They're an extended part of our squad. And, one thing I really was conscious of last year with that was at the right time last year, I made sure one of our training sessions that I actually separated our main group of players from our extended group and actually, sort of paid my respects and comments to what efforts they were putting in. I mean, they're turning up just to bowl to our guys to make them better every day. They're getting nothing out of it. They're never a chance of playing a game, but they turn up day in, day out. You never hear a word from them. They don't complain. It's up to me, actually, quite often to tap them on the shoulder and say, look, just have a day off. I can see that you're tired. Have a day off today or stay back and don't come to training. But that's part of it, right? It's part of the family. It's not one family here and those guys are over there. Whenever you're in a group environment with me, you're in it. We're all in it together, and we're all living under the same roof and in the same four walls. And that's the way that I'll treat them. At the end, I talk to them as much as, well, probably more. Even at the end of the session last night, I went to every single one of them and shook their hand and patted them on the back and said, "Thanks a lot for your work again today." Because it just, without them, we don't get the quality of practice. We haven't got enough resource here on the bowling side of things to look after, because our batters just want to bat, and unfortunately we haven't got enough bowlers to do it. So they're a huge part, really integral part of what we do and what we're trying to achieve, and I make sure I acknowledge that. So there'll be some other things. I was actually thinking the other night, there's some other things that I'll do over the next few days or week that will make them feel even better about themselves.
So now on, it's extended squad for us. No more net bowlers.
Well, I don't know if I've never referred to them as net bowlers ever.
You haven't?
No, never, and I never will, because it's not that for me. All our guys have got the same kit. Even match day, they've got the same match day shirts on. Right. They're part of us, and that's the way I want it to always be.
So, Coach, this has been part of our culture, right? I mean, we see the media teams as well wearing different shirts. I mean, over here we have seen everyone is equal, whether it's the media team, whether it's our extended squad, like you call them, or the players. Everyone are treated equal, and that's what helps us also, right? We don't do only our job. We would try and see where can we contribute to make this squad better. Maybe if in our very own little way, even by having a chat with a youngster and kind of trying to guide him in a right way, So we also feel part of the squad. I mean,
and that's the beauty of a franchise or a team, is that we are all the same. You're trying to help me, I'm trying to help you. Well, that's what we do. Well, I think that's what you should be doing anyway. If you want to have the best environment and the family stuff that we're talking about, I don't take that lightly. I mean, when I talk to the players about the family thing, I actually tell them to look beside you and just think, if that was your actual brother, if that was your brother standing beside you, how would you treat him? How would you go about playing with him? And if you think that way, then I think the team environment becomes pretty easy.
And that's what it is over here. We have also, as a family, faced some difficult times in past couple of years, right? We've faced COVID. A lot of us have faced the loss of our loved ones. I remember last year, the chats were more about what's happening outside with your families, right? Especially this time of the year last year, we faced the worst COVID hit in this country. Yep. So how was that phase?
Look, it's never easy, and I feel a lot for the players that have managed to play international cricket and IPL cricket around the world the last couple of years. It must have been an absolute nightmare. The Indian players in particular, the bubbles that they've been in, the amount of time they've been away from their homes and their families. I've been lucky enough to be, although Melbourne and Victoria, where I live in Australia, has probably been as hard hit as anywhere as far as lockdowns and things like that are concerned. It's you've got to take the good with the bad, I guess, and whenever there's a bad situation, you try and find the positive and the good stuff out of it. And for me, to be back at home in lockdown gave me more time ever with the kids, although it was quite frustrating at times, and homeschooling and things like that. You still get, an extended period of time at home. But look, the challenges are there, and they're only going to. The challenges are not going away anytime soon. It's even now with this particular bubble this year's very tight. Limited spaces and things that we can do in the team hotel, and we've got to find ways to make it as good as we can for the boys. My family's coming over, James's family's coming over in a week and a half, and so I've got a very excited 7-year-old that's pretty keen to come to training and come to some of the games and be a part of it also. I have to keep him away, but no, look, it's, as I said, you got to find ways to make the bad times as good as you possibly can. But it's even with Shane yesterday with Warnie's farewell last night, and Watto was obviously very close to him, and we had training at the same time that the reception was on. So I rang Shane and said, mate, just stay back, and I want you to watch it, I want you to take it all in. And so he stayed back and missed training. And they're the things that for me being here, the things you sort of give up and sacrifice, and that's just part of what I need to do as one of the leaders of this franchise, I guess.
Oh, that's something which has been quite emotional for all of us as well, because all of us are like hardcore cricket fans. I mean, better we move on from this topic. Just it kind of makes me also emotional. Coach, talking about something inspirational now, and that for all of us has been listening to you. I know you're not very fond of us recording you while you talk after the match, but I mean, the amount of people who get inspired after reading that. I mean, the last time when we read the comments, people were like, I think I can go and win a game for Delhi Capitals now. I'm so pumped. So, have you always been such a good speaker?
No, definitely not. No, not when I first started, but not when I first started playing, and because I was always the youngest player in any team, and played state cricket when I was 17 and played for Australia when I was 20, and if you look back at some of the media conferences I did back then, they'd be vastly different than the way that I speak now. But even with that, I mean, when I speak, it's about wanting to reward the guys, also wanting to teach the guys, and everything I say, hopefully they're learning from everything that I say. It's and it's all just stuff that happens through the course of a 3-hour game. I'm sitting back there watching the game and I'm thinking, right, okay, well, we did this. How can we do it better? Or Prithvi did that as well as he could. That's great. I've got to give him a pat on the back for that. Or someone did a diving save in the outfield that saved us 2 runs that might have got us a wicket. We've got to acknowledge those little things, because unless you acknowledge the little things, you're missing a lot of the big things as well. So I know you look after me. Sometimes you don't always put in all the bad stuff that I say in some of those chats, or some of the expletives are taken out. But no, look, and I know even from the feedback that you guys give me about them, I know how much people are wanting to listen to them and wanting to hear them. But at the end of the day, it's not about them. It's about my boys and trying to make my boys better and as good as they can be. So that's how I think about it. But it just comes with, I guess, with captaincy. Well, even it's not anything I do outside of. It's not anything to do with commentary. The fact that I'm talking, it's about wanting to be the best leader of this team that I can, and find ways to make them better. I think the change rooms man of the match thing is a really important thing, because it's not always, just the next best player either. We try and acknowledge some little things, like one little spell of bowling, or one over here and there, or a good catch or something like that. There might be a match defining moment. We like to pay attention to the little things. So that's what a lot of those chats are. I mean, because it's a lot of the things that happen in the game are quite obvious. Like the guys will know if they've had a good game or not. But when you can acknowledge it in front of their peers and their teammates, and I think it's great for everyone.
Yeah, I was going to come to the dressing room man of the match, because there's one thing I want to know: how does Axar sweep away all the overs?
Yeah, I know. Everyone says that he's my favourite all the time, but it's probably true as well, to be honest. But I mean, if you're an all-rounder, right, you get 2 goes at it. I mean, the other day he wasn't going to get one for his bowling the other day, 4 overs for 40 odd, but then he comes out and gets 38 with the bat and wins the game. So all-rounders very rarely don't contribute somewhere. And actually, our bowling coach, so James, was exactly like that when I played with him for Australia. It was very rare that a game went by where he didn't contribute somewhere with bat or ball. So the all-rounders get 2 bites of the cherry, but I might have to start being a bit harsher on him, because even after game 1, I caught up with Shreyas at training 2 nights ago, and I'm not sure if you guys have you put the video out from? There's a video from.
No.
Somehow Shreyas knew that I'd chosen Axar again as change rooms man of the match, so they must have been talking. He said, I know you gave your favourite a man of the match again the other night. So it's talked about amongst other teams as well, which is also great, because I'm pretty sure that other teams are probably looking at what we're doing and trying to take a bit of that away. But yeah, I'll have to crack down on Axar a little bit. He's got too many. He's got too many of those pins. I don't know what he's done with them all.
Sorry, Axar. Coach, one of the most special dressing room man of the matches last year for us was when you awarded it to Arvind Negi, who takes care of us, and it was emotional for all of us as well who were looking at it. I mean, those are the sort of things which just kind of boost everyone's morale. Everyone was cheering, everyone was clapping for him, because in their minds and hearts, everyone acknowledged what he's doing for us, but you just gave it a platform. So it felt great.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of the things that I'm talking about, the things that go unnoticed, and the little things that happen around a team and a family that don't often get acknowledged. I mean, he's working harder than any of us, probably, and no one even knows. You know, he just gets up and does his job on a daily basis. No one even recognises what he's doing, but I do. I see the little things that other people are doing, and you know, when you can acknowledge them like that, then obviously they feel a bit more part of it. And I reckon that next morning after that, he would have jumped out of bed earlier and probably worked harder the next day because he got that man of the match thing. But no, as I said, it's about the little things. It's about identifying them and seeing them, and I think that's probably one of my strengths as a person, even not as a coach. But I'm very observant. I see things. I don't always talk a lot. I don't always say much, but I always see things, and I think that was a big part of my learning as a player was, you know, just watching what other people were doing and learning what other people were doing without verbalising it, but you know, just taking it all in. And then now that I have a bit more of a grasp and an idea of environment and creating environment and culture, then it's important that we acknowledge those things, I think. And even with that night. So that wasn't, I wanted the players to realise as well what Negi was doing. So they would not, you know, their bags just turn up. Their bags are just there. But he's the one that's doing it all. So let's make sure that as a playing group, they're acknowledging him as well.
And we've seen it up close. It's a lot of hard work. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely.
Especially when we were traveling in flights. I mean, someone has to be there for the whole night to ensure that our bags are checked in.
Yep.
Okay, so let's move on to the last topic for today. And I just want to talk a bit about how Delhi Capitals has always been a young squad nurturing young talent, whether it's from Shreyas, Rishabh, Prithvi, KG, or if we are looking at someone like Lali right now, who has been with us for last couple of years. This is his third year, and he's showing what he's capable of. And we have few more prospects, whether it's Vicky, Yash. So that's been one thing we have always focused on, Coach. So how do you look at it?
Yeah, and you can add Khalil and probably Sarfraz, and I mean they're young men still. Even Lungi. Lungi's, you know, I'm looking at he hasn't played a lot of cricket either. He's, you know, so we have got a lot of younger guys around, and you know, I think it's after a mega auction, it's a really good starting point because you can bring these younger guys in, you can get a really good look and idea of what real raw talent they have. You know, Prithvi's a great example. We took a punt on Prithvi as a just straight out of under 19s. Had never played T20 cricket before. Praveen saw something in him that he thought we could turn into a really good T20 player, and that's eventuated. Avish Khan's probably another really good example, although he's not with us anymore. What he and we were able to turn him into through a few years in our environment. You know, that's what right, and it'll take a few years with Yash and Vicky and these guys. And that, I think, it's the most satisfying thing to get young guys, to make them better year on year. It's also the hardest thing at the end of a cycle when you've got to let them go and they go to another franchise and turn into really good players. So, so I mean, the challenge is there. But Lalit, as I said, post-game, game one, Lalit's been in our environment for, this is his third season. He's been building day on day with his training and games to get to a position where he was the other night, where he can win us a game of cricket by himself. And that's a hugely satisfying thing for a coach to see that happen. So that's, you know, now we've got that with these younger guys, you know, even with Khalil and Sarfraz and these guys, we've got the ability to turn them into better players quite quickly, I think, even though they're very good players now. They're still young and yeah, we've got to nurture them through. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think if you look at our team the last 3 years, and we had a successful run there. We started with a younger group, and year on year we actually built a bit more experience into it. You know, with Shikha coming, with Ashwin coming, with these guys, and Ishant. You know, we built on from a young group into a really good combination of youth and experience, and that's where we'll eventually get to with this team as well. Because in 2 or 3 years' time, Khalil's 27. You know, Sarfraz is 27, Rishabh's 27. So we've actually got some experience there. Right. And Vicky and Yash and these guys will be coming on. So you end up with the blend that we're after. And that's, you know, if I think back to the really good teams that I played in, we had that exact blend. You know, we had Steve Waugh, we had Morney, we had McGrath, and then there was me, and then there was, you know, the younger guys. The blend is really important because the younger guys at different times, and even through an IPL, when it starts to get a bit hard and starts to drag on, the younger guys have got to create that energy and environment to lift the older guys up. On the other side of it, the younger guys are there to teach the older guys are there to teach the younger guys the right way to play and how to do. So that's where the magic happens when you get the blend right. And I think we can do that over the next couple of years for sure.
Cheers to that, Coach. I think we've got
episode 1 in the can.
Yeah. episode 1 with Ricky Ponting is done. We'll try and catch him as often as we can while we have him.
No worries.
Thank you so much, Coach. It's been an honor. I don't know if I lost my way throughout this episode. It's bound to happen when you keep talking. I'm not thinking, I'm just listening. So yeah.
It was good, very enjoyable. No doubt you'll lock me down for another couple through the season. It'd be good.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. And let's get onto the bus and head to Pune.
Let's do it.